right off the bat.
Sure, audio works. I think we got audio. Audio works. I think we got. Oh, baby.
Hey, how you doing?
First of all,
Everyone,
first bone to pick. Maximus, first time
Call
chatter.
him
We're
out.
7
We're
weeks
calling
in.
you out right now.
First time chatter. Come on.
No other first time chatter will ever say anything.
Yeah, no, everybody's gonna be quiet. Well, welcome everybody. It is Sunday evening. We are on episode 7, and tonight we are getting spicy with Texas Select Seasoning. Mr. Wild Bill is going to be our guest. We'll bring him in here in just uno momento. We got to do some housekeeping as normal to start off the show. Big announcement tonight. Not even my co-hosts know what is about to be announced, so this is exciting. So just as a reminder, we're live on Twitch under Cast and Camo. You can find each of us on Twitch. We got Fish Docker, we've got Chief Fox TV, and then we got myself, Vexus_X. And then on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube. All of the VODs are getting posted on YouTube, Cast and Camo TV. Still working on trying to get things on Spotify and iTunes. So that's exciting. And hopefully that's coming soon. If you're checking us out on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment down below. Check out all of our VODs. Upcoming guests next week, we have Jamie Olson. Jamie owns an outfitter for mule deer and antelope in Wyoming. And we're going to talk to him mostly about coyotes. This dude is the coyote whisperer. He is like the master of coyote hunting and trapping in the United States. And he's got a scientific background. He works with the state. He's going to be an amazing guest. And I think it sounds like we're going to have him multiple times as well, not just 1 week. So we'll be able to build off of that. I was also able to solidify that we are going to get the chief marketing officer of Pheasants Forever. It must be like an upper Midwest organization. I don't know. A lot of people that I've talked to about it, they don't seem to know Pheasants Forever. But he's going to be a great guest. He's also the co-host of Fan Outdoors, the radio show. I don't know when exactly he's going to be. And also in discussions with Andrew from SCR Rods, do some custom rod discussion.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that'll be
I've seen
fun.
his work. He makes some good rods.
He's great. Yep.
He's more tailored towards ocean fishing too. So
yeah, he'll make anything. Yeah, but yeah, that's his go-to. Yep. And then also have confirmed the president of the Minnesota Darkhouse Spearing Organization will be a guest soon. It's a little funky because everybody's deer season starts like in a week or 2 weeks. And
struggle is real right now. Everyone's like,
I don't want to talk about deer hunting right now.
Hunting, or it's deer season. What do you think?
Yeah. Yep. Can you be on the show? Yes, but no, not yet. And as always, our show is brought to you by Texas Select Seasoning, our guest tonight, and Carolina Bass Co. We're going to have, I think Carolina Bass Co. has our discount code. I still haven't made any commands.
Save yourself 15%.
Yep, 15% off on Carolina Bass Co.
Free shipping. Get all your fishing stuff to your doors.
Right.
And there's really good prices. Go check it out, seriously.
He's got good stuff.
Support Made in America, all right? Support those local businesses, because that's who we need to support. And Walmart's going to be all right. All right, Bass Pro ain't going to die.
That's true. That's
true. And you can get really good prices in the process. So
I think we're going to have our discount code with Bill soon. That's the way it sounds. I think and we're going to talk about this just in a few minutes, but I think we're still working on the website a little bit. So that'll be coming. And drum roll, the newest sponsor for Cast and Camo. Is everybody ready? Fish, are you ready for this?
I'm giving you a drum roll. You probably can't.
Are you okay, Chief? Are you excited about this?
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. I just want some seasoning. Let's go.
The newest sponsor, Buzzco.
Oh.
Check out Buzzco at www.onlyfans.com/Buzzco.
OnlyFans, he made it. Buzz made it. Yep. Thank God.
Buzz, yep. I'll repeat that: www.onlyfans.com backslash
You have to
Buzzco.
use code Joker. Is that right?
Yes,
Joker?
code
Yes,
Joker.
code
Bill's
Joker.
never gonna
Yep.
come on with us again after this.
Probably not.
Check out that
I don't even think he's
www.onlyfans
here. I haven't seen
backslash
him
Buzzco.
to appreciate this.
He's not here.
Wow.
Yep, discount code Joker for 100% off. I mean, you can't. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah, but we raised the prices 110% to
Yes,
give you the
correct.
100%
Yes.
off on Buzzco.
Right.
That's exactly
Correct.
right. Yep.
Yep. You got that right. So I had to get that in there. I thought that was
$100. Then we're gonna give you 25. It's like free.
I did hear some logic yesterday from
100%.
a TikTok, something about like she was trying to explain to her husband how spending works, and it was
It's-
something along the
there's a
lines
big
of
thing
if you return something tomorrow that you bought today, it's like you got it for free. And the logic was, who
It's
knows?
called girl math, I believe.
Yeah,
is what
I
I'm seeing.
didn't
And,
understand it,
I've
which-
seen it like some of them are like, she's like, if I spend it in cash, it's really doesn't count as spending money. So it's
Yeah, because it's already out of the account.
because it's not on the card. So it's already out of the
Yeah.
account, so it's free.
That's how it works.
Or
Apparently.
if you have to spend $200 to save $50, it's really saving $50. What is going on?
What the hell's
There's-
that coming in here for?
Well,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
yes. Hi,
Oh,
Bill.
there you go. Hey,
It's
Bill.
Bill.
It's like, and he's gone. He's leaving us.
Bill.
There's Bill. Oh, and I think just to kind of go back real quick about the newest sponsor, Buzzco, www.onlyfans.com/Buzzco. Next week we have a special product that, and we'll have it all ready for next week, but that's not quite ready for this week. It was breaking news. We'll get there, but we've
The funny
got,
thing is, there's people in here thinking that's an official.
yeah, for sure. That's the beauty of it. That's
They're gonna be able to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, only
If
fans,
any
only
of you-
feet.
If any of you was watching my stream the other day, I had it in there. Buzzco was a sponsor of mine now. Joker letting bar over to me. So that was nice of him.
And for I see we got a lot of first time chatters. And again, for everybody watching after this, we are live on Twitch. So you might hear us referring to people in chat. We're going to get questions, I'm sure, from people from chat. We'll do our best to kind of integrate all of that. So if you hear us welcoming people in, that's where that's all coming from. But we got Bill. We got to get into, I mean, we've been waiting for Bill for
Month.
2 months.
2
2
months.
months.
Yeah, it's 2
Oh,
months.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah. So what I would love to do, Bill, with your permission, first of all, let's do an audio check. Test. Bill.
Test 1, 2, 3.
I think everybody can everybody hear Bill okay?
Can we get a verbal confirmation from chat?
Can we get a confirmation that everybody can hear? I just want to make sure that the volume for Bill is good, or if I need to turn it up somehow. But I think we're good. So what I would love to do, Bill, is first of all, this is going to be an ongoing joke, and I know it. The geographical debate of barbecue. We all know Texas is best,
Yeah, we
right?
do.
and
It's
we're going to
brisket.
show things that are going to prove that. And I have no vesting interest. I will say once again, if it's meat and it is smoked, I want it in my mouth hole. That's I need. I don't care where it comes from. I want to eat the meat, right? So personally, I don't care. But Bill is based out of, and I'll let him get into it, but he's based out of Houston, Texas. But what I would love to do, Bill, is kind of give just an introduction of kind of who you are, where this all came from. I know you had deep family roots with seasoning and barbecue, and that kind of cultivated to where you're at today. Can we talk a little bit about, or have you talk a little bit about what started this dream of having a seasoning business? Where did it all come from?
I'm 58 years old now, and I've been doing this. I actually started mixing and blending back in '85. So, but it's been, like you said, a lifelong dream. It's something I've always wanted to do. There was always a lot of products on the market. Both sides of my family loved to cook outdoors. They lived off the land, and it's something that we grew up, from a young age cooking outside. So it's just a passion I've always had. I've learned from both sides of my family. I'm biracial, so I had the Hispanic side in South Texas and what I call the East Texas hillbillies over in deep East Texas. So it was a great culture on both sides. Learned a lot, and that's what kind of molded me throughout the years. And I just decided one day, I said, I want to put together my own products, and we like to cook a certain way, blend unique products with citrus and peppers and sea salts and things. And back then, before there was all natural and organic and such, that's what we ate that way anyway. So I've always searched for the best ingredients I could find to put these products together from the beginning. And I started with seasons, but I also made salsa because we grew up canning. So I've got salsa in my history and the profile of my business that dates back as long as my seasonings. And then as it grew over the years, I got into finishing barbecue glazes because I realized in competition barbecue, we always did dry rub competition back in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. But then barbecue kind of transitioned into more sloppy barbecue. People wanted finished product with more sauce and stuff on it. So we wanted to find a way to bring that to the forefront with a product without actually using barbecue sauce per se, but bringing the flavor profile of the seasonings to that. So that kind of evolved into that part of the product development in my business. But early on, it was mason jars, salsa, and dry seasonings, and that's where we started. And then the logo, I don't think I actually I designed the logo and had a welder fabricate that into a brand. And I would take old scrap wood, cedar pickets, if you will, that were scrap, and go harvest them, cut them down, refit them to display shelving. And I would take them to stores and ask people to put them on the shelves. And then we did farmers markets. We went door to door meeting people, because back then there wasn't the internet when you first got started. So that's kind of where, from a child going up and then going through high school and then getting out and realizing, I want to do something and have my own business. And I did other things along the way, photography work. I did video production work in the past. But my passion was always to have this business. And so early on, I did things like come up with my name, come up with my names of products, come up with slogans that were catchy. And early on, I trademarked a lot of those, which some of my trademarks go back now 20 plus years. And they're
Taste as bold as
Taste
Texas.
as bold as Texas, incontestable status now. And products like the Juicy Pig, that's still my number one selling barbecue rub after all these years, since '85.
Flavor profile will blow your mind.
Yeah, and it started off in a mason jar.
Like seriously?
Yeah, that's a very unique product. And back then it was made with what I call wet sugars, like you would traditionally bake with. But as technology evolved, they started dehydrating sugar over in Louisiana in the mills, and they made dehydrated free flow brown sugar that allowed you to have a seasoning that you could shake out. You didn't have to rub it the old school way with the wet sugars. You could actually shake it out like salt. It was dry like salt. So once that came around, I had to reformulate that product and it evolved as the Juicy Pig, because it used to be called Sticky Rub in the beginning. It was sold in a jar or a bag, and literally you would just rub it on the meat until it became sticky looking, and then you would smoke it. So it's we got a long history from my family all the way through, but the business started around '85. It really grew in the '90s when the logo got out, and then we formed a cooking team to go out and advertise. And then as the technology evolved and the internet came around and things, and it started growing to that point, so to where it is today.
So one thing I'm curious to know, were you always growing your own stuff, or did that, like your spices and the herbs or whatever, or did that kind of morph in coming when your wife was around? Because it sounds like your wife, her family had the background of growing a lot of that sort of thing. Did she bring that aspect into it, or were you always kind of growing?
I had a friend of mine that did that, a canning company, a family that's in East Texas, in Rusk, Texas. But no, I grew a lot of exotic chilies, because as I did farmers markets, one of the things I did was fresh salsa. Everybody wanted something fresh and something different every week. So we would make the fresh salsa, bring it to market, and we would sell out within an hour to 2 hours. Then we had our canned salsas, that were still, I patented a way to can salsa. Well, I didn't have to use any preservatives, no vinegar. I cured it with natural citrus, and it was just a stages that we did in this cooking process. So I could can salsa that have a 5-year shelf life if you never opened it. But a lot of the customers wanted the shelf stable, cold, refrigerated, fresh salsas. So what I did was I found seeds from around the world and grew exotic chilies Now, on my side of the family, we grew up harvesting what's called the chili piquin. Some Hispanics call it the tapin, the little round chili. It's the oldest chili known to man. So we harvested that on my grandparents' ranch.
My mind.
Yeah, I spent my summers on my grandparents' ranch. They pretty much raised me when my dad was in Vietnam. But I would harvest these chilies and we put them in a little stone bowl called a molcajete. And we would crush those. And there was the base for pretty much everything we cooked, from a soup to a stew to a rub, a wet rub that went on barbecue. Could be cabrito or anything that we cooked outside. So traditionally, that was the chili that we harvested there. But as I grew older and got into other type of chilies, that's still my favorite chili and used in a lot of my products. But I also got into habaneros and my, like one of my liquid jellies, one of my most famous apple strawberry habanero jelly has a red Savina habanero, which is unique to the industry. And I grew those for a while. So I grew peppers from all over the world, had big fields of them. We used them in salsa, but mostly in the fresh salsas. But then as the company grew and we had to manufacture more and more and more of the production salsa, we had to contract it out and hire someone to grow that many peppers, because we had to have specialty peppers. We weren't just using jalapeno and serrano and things like that for products. So that's where that side of it, when people see the old pictures of me in the fields harvesting all those chilies, I did that for many, many years. And that's something that I did that I wanted to grow, because I wanted to control the way they're grown, grow them organically, and bring them to market. Not only just use them in product, but sell the peppers themselves. So that's what I focused. I didn't grow tomatoes or anything like, strictly chilies. I could always
tomatoes are
I
for
could
suckers.
source tomatoes anywhere,
Yeah. You want to grow the good stuff, the peppers.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I used to grow just enough
That's
to
right.
make my own pico de gallo. So I mean, you needed your peppers. Well, I didn't grow onions.
No, you don't grow onions. Just
I
like
don't
you
grow
can't
onions,
source,
but
you can't source certain
tomatoes
type
and
of ingredients. In the United States, like black pepper, it's all outside the United States. So, garlic, certainly the best garlic in the world, comes out of California. But in onion, you get a lot of dehydrated. You get, of course, all your herbs and things here in the United States. But there's some things you can't source inside the United States, like black pepper. It's impossible. All your cinnamon sourced outside the United States. So, unfortunately, that's how it is. Certain regions where they grow, it's like coffee beans,
So you're a hunter and a fisherman, fisherman.
My passion growing up was surf fishing along the coast, and here we live near Galveston Island. But I fished down toward Freeport, Texas. There was a stretch of beach out there called Bryan Beach, and that's where I grew up from a teenager on. I was obsessed with surf fishing for bull redfish and sharks. And there's a little island across the way that we used to paddle across sit on top kayaks called Wolf Island. And that's an area that we grew up fishing. And then from there, I did a lot of hunting, deer hunting. But then over the last few years, I do a lot of night. When technology evolved for night vision equipment and thermal, I really got into night hunting hogs for a couple of companies, testing out equipment and such. So I got so obsessed with that. I set the surf rods down, and I was just strictly hog hunting for a long time.
That is so cool. Like, I've always wanted to try that at night. Like,
it's just nothing like it. Night hunting's a totally different. It's a different game. I mean, because you literally, if you think you're going out there at night, you're looking through night vision. You're not using a flashlight or anything. You're getting around. But the minute you stop to listen, when I grunt like you grunt for a deer, you grunt for a hog, because you're looking for a big dominant male rooter, because he's looking for a fight. And there's sounders running around with sows and piglets and all that. But you're looking for that big dominant boar that runs alone. And you're grunting, trying to pick a fight. And he's looking for somebody to fight. And then y'all find yourselves in the wood and you get the shot. And hopefully you knock him down.
Yeah, I was
quick.
saying,
You
coming at
you.
But
the thing about night hunting that
Do
people
not
don't
mess with
understand is your body, your mind plays tricks on you, because your body goes to sleep. So if you're leaning against a tree and you got a backpack, and maybe I've got a crossbow or maybe I've got a rifle, and I'm scanning through thermal or night vision back when I first started, and then you stop and you're grunting, you're listening in the dark. But the minute you lean against a tree and you're listening, guess what? You can't see your hand in front of your face. So what's your body and your mind wanting to do? Go to sleep. And it's that quick. So you've really got to catch yourself. And I used to put a red light on my forehead, because it only displays a couple of feet. And I would put my hand out and move my fingers just to get my depth perception back when I'm walking around. Because it's crazy. I mean, night hunting's a totally different game. It's not for
you have a thermal scope now, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I've got thermal and night vision, but I'll tell you what, I still like some of the old night vision technology, because the detail.
I've never shot it. Well, animals with night vision. So
it's a whole different game, because the old night vision, it's like a flashlight that's invisible, right?
Yeah, no,
animals can't see it. You can't see it. If you look through the night vision scope, you can see everything. You look to the side, everything's black, right? So you're not shining anything,
There are
but you can
lasers
see it.
too?
But it's detailed. You can see every leaf, every branch, and on the ground, especially in East Texas along the river systems, you got a lot of snakes in the summertime. So you're constantly stepping over snakes and water houses and everything else.
No.
So, but night vision, you can see them. Thermal, you really don't. You know, thermal, you're just scanning, looking for the rooters. You know. So
Hold up. We're off track a little bit, but this is interesting. You're telling me the thermal scope doesn't pick up the snakes?
thermal picks up heat, so you're seeing larger sections of heat. There's not real lot of details. Night vision.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, night vision is like throwing a flashlight on it, a visible flashlight, but all the details there. It's like seeing stuff in daylight, but in black and white. So
snakes don't cast off a temperature. They are
If you're using thermal,
to a certain degree, they can shine if they're
night vision and thermal is definitely different.
if they're warm from the sun. If they're warm from the sun in the morning, they pick up the thermal will scan it. Yeah, but at night when it starts to cool down just a little bit, you know, like at night when you're scanning with a thermal and the logs in the woods that picked up heat from the sun, they'll glow a little bit, right? But the main heat comes from the body of the animal. You know, you see your deer and the hogs. The thing is, you got to get closer and closer because the early thermal technology, just like a warm blob, you got closer and closer. Then you recognize, hey, that's a deer. So let me move another direction and start looking elsewhere. So we did a lot of hunting on foot, you know, and but new thermal technology is crazy. You can see detail and hair and stuff on animals that you never could see before. You had to have night vision to see that. And I worked for a company called Night Sight, and it was actually a unit that mounted on top of your existing day scope, and it would project that light out and go through your scope and go to a monitor in the back. So you could actually walk and stalk with this thing in front of you without looking through the actual scope. Look at it like a little small television monitor and walk around with this thing. So if you're going in and out of river bottoms and walking, you can actually see that before you take a step. Whereas thermal now, you're looking through the scope. It's different.
So when we come down this winter, is it acceptable for crying and or fetal position? Is that acceptable?
Well, I don't know. You won't have any snakes in the wintertime, so you'll be good.
Yeah, they're
what did I tell you today, Bex?
I gotta take you out in the spring when
I mean,
early summer when they're
you
out.
can do it.
Yeah.
We could wait till May and go down if you want, Vexus. I mean, that'd be perfect.
It's my birthday month, and that's usually when the snakes are really starting to get active. They're just now starting to move. But you want to get them before it gets too hot, because our summer heat down here, when it's triple digit, you don't want to hunt. You know, I'm telling you, you are miserable.
And before I get all the hate mail and the hate messages, I'm fully aware that snakes are cold-blooded. I personally have never looked in night vision or anything, so I didn't know. I knew it wouldn't pick up the heat because they're cold-blooded, but I was wondering if it would pick up movement when you're looking through night scope. I've never looked through night vision anything, so just so everybody's aware, I was unlike cucumbers and pickles.
Yeah, night vision is a lot more detail, and certain things will still glow and illuminate. It just doesn't have that heat source like a body. You know, like the big hog coming through. You definitely know when it's coming through. You'll see the rabbits. You can see the heat source from the rabbits and raccoons and everything out there.
Can you hear? Can you hear the, like, if you've got a big hog, a big male boar coming, can you like feel the ground? Like,
man, when you get on those dry riverbeds, and I've got this, and in fact, I'll get it on here hopefully by the next time we come on live. I've got a full body mount, the first one I ever did, on a rooter that I tracked for almost 2 years on a river system. You know, he traveled for miles up and down here because you have sounders, which are groups of hogs. Then you have these solo boars, and they run for miles. They don't come to feeders. You know, they run, and the only time they bust into a sounder is either to mate or fight. But in the woods, when you find one of these big dominant boars, they're the older boars, bigger, stout, you know, 250 plus pounds. That's what you're looking for the trophy. But to get that, you got to lure him in, either try to fight him, or a lot of times you'll hear a boar fight going on in the woods. And that's the most intense thing you'll ever hear. When two boars are trying to kill each other, it's incredible. I'd love to capture it and record it but by the time you get close enough to them, it's gone. But it echoes through the woods, you know, it's crazy.
Over here is like, well, do you really need a AR to hunt? I'm like, have you ever seen a wild boar?
Have you ever been charged by a wild boar? I have.
Yes, you need one.
Would it stop me from going out there? No.
No, but
I went out
They're
there with a
serious,
night
man.
vision on a
They will
crossbow
tear
and a
you
40
up.
cal on my side
right.
and shot one and dropped him, and he ran off and bled. And I thought, I'm glad he ran that direction out to me because he was within 19 yards. He was just right there. And I'd cut a trail through grass that was over 5 feet, and I was down on the ground in a makeshift blind and baited him through and grunted him in. And he followed that trail that I cut. And when he got to where I could see him and he turned, I took that shot and he squealed and stuck like that. And I thought, okay. And he turned around and ran the opposite way. And I saw the grass doing this. I said, yeah, go right over there and die. So, yeah, it was a great shot. I bled him out, but he could have easily charged me. And I was sitting down on the ground. And
so we know roles. So now we know when we come down there, because it sounds like you need to call these big boars in,
pick a fight.
and pick a fight. So Fish, you're our bait. You're gonna you're gonna be the one that fights,
Close
and
your eyes.
we promise we'll kill it before it gets to you.
You realize you
I'm number one.
You go ahead and do that. I'm not going out in the woods without a sidearm. So I mean, but
I'm just in my head when Bill is talking about that. I'm picturing Fistjocker on his hands and knees going, "Arr, arr, arr, let's fight."
you gotta be me.
I wrote a story.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
wrote a
curly
story
hair,
one
I
time
think.
for Night Sight. It's online, so I'm gonna have to go back and look it up. Where I'd come across and what I heard a boar fight, and I worked my way to it, and finally come through. And one of them was working his way through, but he never would come through the tall grass, and I could see the eyes glowing because that night vision, it's like a flashlight, and you're lighting up their eyes, and he's trying to come through. But as he turned, I shot him in the neck and dropped him, and he kicked for a while, So I knew he was dead. But I was at an elevated position and he was at a lower position in that tall grass, and I shot him. So I hiked down there to go take a look at him, and it was a pretty good ways down there. I shot him about 140, 150 yards. And as I got closer, I heard the grunt from another boar that had previously been fighting this one. He was looking for him. So when I got there closer, I could see the back of the head of the rooter. I shot him in the neck. He dropped right there in his tracks and kicked and died. That other hog came in, that big rooter, and was fighting him and pushing him and trying to flip him over. So when he did it and he spun around with the back of his neck facing me. So I dropped him. And I have a Benelli R1. It's a semi-auto 30-06, And I laid it down, and the minute he was hit, he didn't even realize I was there. And I was probably 40 yards from him. But he was hitting this rooter so hard, he spun him around, and his back of his neck got exposed. So I shot him in the back, and he fell down on top of them. They died together. And when I got on top of them, they was cut from fighting on their necks. There was bleeding everywhere, besides where I shot them. So I got my Ranger down there and had a big lift on the front, but I had to take them out one at a time. Then I tried to double stack. One was 282 pounds, and the other one was right at 230. Yeah.
Dang.
And so I got a picture of them both
That's a
together.
Romeo
Had
and
big
Juliet
cutters
story
on
if
them,
I've
a
ever
big
heard
head
one.
on them. It was a great story because, all the years that I've hunted, I've always wanted to witness a live boar fight. But this is as close as it gets. And then the one that circled back to fight him again after he was dead, that was intense to witness that. And it's something you'd have to be ready on the fly to get it, but you really couldn't film it because they were behind grass and cover most of the time. But it just happened so fast. And it's just one of those things, to be in that environment is something you'll never forget.
That's awesome. So going back to your seasons, let's we could talk hog hunting, and we will for probably hours. And cooking.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that discussion. Let's talk about the farm, your farm. We're pre-storm. How many acres did you have? What was all going on? What did you all have cooking on that? Cooking. See what I did there? Growing. What was all going on that piece of property with your business?
I had 2 acres, acre and a half in chilies. And we lost a lot of those after when we had a weird freak storm going back before the storm that actually wiped us out. We lived near the coast, so you always have a chance of a hurricane. And we had a hurricane back then that missed us, and we got a little bit of the storm damage, but what we got after that was a unique freeze and a snowstorm. And so I had all these chilies growing in the field, and they were bright colors everywhere, and then they were covered in snow. It looked like Christmas decorations and lights everywhere. So it was a really unique thing. We brought all the family over the harvest. We cooked out a bunch of stuff and we salvaged as many as we could. But I never had more than 2 acres, usually about an acre to acre and a half of chilies. It's about all you can handle, and use it. An acre's enough. But depends on what chili. And they're very prolific.
A lot of chilies.
They keep growing.
Yeah.
Well, I got potted plants. I got a chili pekin out in the pot right now that's huge. That I pull chilies off every day, and that plant's 6 years old. I cut it down and let it come back. Cut it down, let it come back, and it's got a stalk on it like a tree. So the chilies in the field were the same way. As long as I protect them, we didn't have a hard freeze, and I covered them up. I could always cut them back, and they'd come back again. And then when they're in harvest, you're pulling chilies nonstop. I mean, it's just it's a full-time deal. So unless you've got a big crew, you can't run more than an acre to acre and a half of those. But when the storm came through, this last storm, I was beyond even growing chilies at that time. We were so busy with work and manufacturing the seasons that we pushed that over to a guy that I know in Rusk, Texas, got the oldest cannery in Texas. He's got 1,000-gallon kettles. So, and then they can grow anything, source anything. So they're doing all the wet products. And then I manufacture all the dry products, which is dry batters like fish seasonings, your barbecue rubs, my all-purpose seasonings, and then injections and things that I've got coming out later on for barbecue contests. So I do all the dry manufacturing, do all the wet manufacturing. So when the latest storm hit that wiped us out, and we lost the company and everything, that was Hurricane Harvey. So that was a historic flood. Over 6 foot of water rolled through. We lost a home, we lost a manufacturing facility, 2 warehouses, a vehicle, and a retail store. So overnight, everything was gone. So we spent the last little over 5 years building our lives back, building the business back, building everything back. So we're back now, head above water. We got new products coming out this year that were slated to come out 5 years ago with this reset. So and that's what I was explaining. It's just kind of weird that now that there is an internet, back in the old days, and everybody knew locally what would happen. But on the internet, it's like if you disappear for a while, people think you're out of business. And it's like, things happen to people. Good things and bad things happen. And this is something bad that happened to my wife and I. But we worked our way through it. And this old country boy means you just got to keep working day by day, week by week, until you build yourself back. So the company's back. Got the retail store, of course, been back for several years. And this is the first year I'll be back on the barbecue circuit. We cooked twice this year with me and my 2 guys, my original team, and we cooked competitions to mainly go out and advertise the products. And then we were, really successful with that. So when you win, it really helps sell products. And the internet, they see you back on, see you doing things, sales pick back up, But, the internet's really fickle. 1 minute, if you're gone, they forget about you. There's so many new products going out, they move this direction. But then they remember, the old timers and the people who've been with me all these years, like, hey, what happened to you? Where'd you go? Well, still got the same phone number. You still get a hold of me. And then people always, our regulars kept in touch with us and all family members, friends, and all our regular customers over the years. We were really blessed to have so many has kept up with us and started buying the minute we were coming back in manufacturing. But now getting back out and announcing new products on the internet and doing things like this is extremely helpful for us to let people know that, hey, not only are we still in business, but we're back and we're making new products. So it's been a rough 6 years.
You have a brick and mortar store now again?
Hitchcock, Texas,
okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Awesome.
What's funny though, Vexus, is back when I met Bill. I'm going to say 22 years ago. I'm going to say back, Bill, 2021 or 2001, 2001. I'm guessing is about the time that I met you. Bill was one of my sponsors through the Brotherhood of Catfishermen. And then followed us up through the Catfish America TV show. Bill, I've met Bill. I've been with him. We used to have gatherings, and he would bring his seasonings. He just showed me something that I made in 2004. He just showed it on the show here a little bit ago to me that I made that he won on an auction on our show. So
2004.
Yeah, in 2004. So Bill is, I've always bought his seasonings, and then we kind of disappeared with each other for a while. And then one day, me and my son was talking, and I was trying to get his seasoning, and I couldn't get hold of him. And I imagine that's about the time that you had that weather that took you out. So then we finally got back together, and we brought him on the show with us here. But hey, Bill, your seasoning's been amazing. I love it. My family loves it.
Thank you.
And you guys are all got to try it. You got to
wrote for the magazine too. I wrote for Catfish Now.
Yes. Matter of fact, yes, I've got. He wrote for Catfish Now. With me in the magazine. I was one of the article writers, and Bill was too, which was kind of really neat. It just. Let me see if I can find. Well, that was mine. That was my article in my middle section of it. There's that big catfish right there. Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of with chicken.
Make sure you stick around till the end because guess what? There's a recipe coming tonight. So
I did not catch the chicken. And this is Wild Bill's. This is Wild Bill's seasonings here when he wrote in the magazine too.
Cajun catfish with red beans and dirty rice.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
So good. I'm not gonna lie.
It was awesome. But
that's amazing to see something like that. It's like time warp going back. You know?
It is totally time warp.
Just so some people can know, what are some of the accolades that yourself and your team have won on the barbecue circuit? So a lot of people
I don't know. We've probably close to 350 trophies lifetime. But I've been cooking since the 80s. But the products themselves have won a lot of national, international, and local awards. But all the competition we usually do is sanctioned events. We cook on the barbecue circuit all the way to World Championship in Kansas City, Memphis in May, and a lot of local stuff too. And here in Texas, we won what's called the Triple Crown Championship back in 2016. We were on a roll, winning a lot of stuff that year. In fact, we won the Gulf Coast Seafood Grand Championship and the Texas Triple Crown Barbecue Championship, which is 3 events, starting with the state's largest county fair cook-off, almost 300 entries. So we won all that in the same calendar year, and still in the record books, the only team to win both in the same calendar year. And that was 2016, and then rolling in 2017 is when the storms hit. We had the first storm in the spring, which is called the Tax Day flood. We rebuilt from that, and then we got totally washed out from Harvey. So 2017 on was washed out. But leading up to 2016, the Texas Select Barbecue team that was competing all over, doing really good, winning a lot of championships, several grand championships, reserve grands. But the products themselves is what I like to talk about. Cooking is fun, and we do wild game cook-off, barbecue cook-off, seafood. But the products themselves, and when we enter them in the contest, all national and international contests, they've won gold medals. They've the most prestigious awards that can be won in the food industry. My products have won them in some categories or the others. I've got a chili season that's won back-to-back Golden Chili Awards in the nation. Gold medals for the barbecue, like the Juicy Pig. It had been out for over 20 years, and I told my wife, I said, the National Barbecue Association has a big national event. They give away these medals like the Olympics, gold, silver, and bronze. I do it for TV shows and different things, and also for products. I said, let's throw the Juicy Pig in there against all these new products that's been coming out the last few years, just to see if it's still relevant. We turned it in, and it won the gold medal. That's like, wow. I mean, all the way to the top. So it's things like that that's really unique. And then at the World Trade Center in Dallas, they had a big event one year. It was a big international event, and it was the best condiment in the world. And they had people from all over, literally flew in at the World Trade Center. And what you had to do is you go to prepare a dish for this panel of judges, which was chefs, and they weren't just local national chefs. They were flowing also from Spain and Germany, different places, and they had a panel. And so I took my tomatillo avocado salsa, which is something like my great-grandma used to make, but I refined it over the years and put it in a jar and cured it with natural citrus. And it's a very spicy product, but it's a very unique product. And it's an authentic salsa verde. So I went and grilled chicken breasts and made a simple quesadilla with Oaxaca cheese, Mexican Oaxaca cheese, homemade tortilla, and the grilled chicken, and this green sauce. Then you had to present the product itself. Now, we're talking condiments. This year it was all for one. Years after that, they broke it down by mayonnaise, mustards, jellies, jams. Everything that could be a condiment was a category. But this particular year, it was everything, one winner. And so we went through all these they broke it down, and finally got down to the final 10, broke it down and got to the winner. And I was in the kitchen cleaning up. My wife come and got it. She said, you better get out here pretty quick. And I got out there by the time they announced it, and we won it. It was a silver etched plate, and to me, to this day, that's the most prestigious award that I've ever won, because it's something we had to show them the product had integrity. They had to like that product, and then we had to cook with it. So there's two sides of this competition, and they like both sides of it. So that was very unique.
Awesome.
To me, that's probably the most important award I've ever won.
So I want to go back to one thing from your background, from back and the before part. I read that one of the favorite things from your dad, or that you would cook with your dad on his birthday, was grilled redfish. What did you? I had redfish for the first time this year, and I just want more. I want all the redfish because it was so good. But we deep fried it. So when you're grilling a redfish, are you using, what kind of seasoning are you using for that?
Redfish my dad, bless his, already passed away young. He passed away at 50, but his favorite meal on his birthday that I cook, he always asked me to cook redfish on the half shell. And I did a lot of surf fishing, like I said, but I'd catch these oversized fish. But at that time, you couldn't keep them at a certain size before they had the tagging system. And so my dad was always saying, boy, that looks a little close. He always make a joke about it. You sure that was in? I said, no, Dad, it's legal. It's good. Because I'd come in with these great big fillets and I'd leave the scales on them. So, the main thing is taking a real sharp, small fillet knife and cleaning up underneath them, washing the scales down and everything on the backside, but taking all the dark meat out. And then what I would do is go underneath there, and I would make my homemade ghee, which is clarifying your own butter, cook it down to where it makes almost like a brown butter, and then I would cool it off. And after I cut up underneath this fish and got the dark stuff out, I would baste underneath that a little bit of lime juice and that together. And then I would baste the top. And then I would make what's similar to my lemon blackened season now. And I have a product called Coastal Seafood that doesn't have any citrus. So if I did the citrus at the bottom, I'd do the one without citrus. Or if I didn't, I'd put the one with the lemon powder. But I would put the season on top and baste it, and then I would grill it on hot coals. And the whole idea is to char those scales, because you're not going to eat that side of it anyway. And it heats up an intense heat through the meat. You never flip it over. You see a lot of people on TV do this and that. No, you leave the heat down below your charcoal and your wood burn and your hickory wood, and you get that thing as hot as you can, and it will heat through that meat and bring that butter, that clarified butter, to the surface and work its way through that meat, and just beautiful. And then you got your season to make it the crust on top. And then right before you serve it, you make a little bit more of the butter. And back then I'll take chili pekins that I grew and put it in the butter and a little bit of lime juice. And then I would baste the pieces as you took it off the cark, off the shell. Take it off the plate and then baste it with that. And that's how we would eat it. And then I'd make crab meat stuffed shrimp for him at the same time.
It's making me so hungry right now. I'm not gonna lie.
And seafood, I've never heard of. Seafood stuffed jalapenos.
That's a big thing.
What are you putting here? Is it really? What are you putting in that?
But the problem is people put too much stuff in. There's no crab meat. There's that's a problem. And even the restaurants that used to, post COVID, everybody, cut corners on everything. And it's like dressing now in a lot of them. But there's still a couple of restaurants that make really good ones. But a lot of them would take chop up the shrimp and the crawfish tails and the crab meat, and they'd put different kind of cheeses in a roll up and stuff it in the jalapeno and then bread it and fry it. And everywhere we used to go for seafood restaurants, that's what I would judge the restaurant in. If they had a jalapeno stuff with seafood, how good was it? That's what we would judge the restaurant on. And it's real popular all through here, and you'll find it at certain restaurants.
Let me ask you something. You can't buy redfish in a store, correct?
It's the fish market. Yeah, we have markets.
So let me ask you, is it the same as what you catch out there? I mean, is it as good? I mean, can you?
But they get what they call slot. A lot of them get the smaller redfish, and then they just fillet them off.
I've seen them here in the DFW area. It might be because he's closer to the ocean
in the fish stores, whether they've had redfish or not. I can't.
You can buy wholesale market stuff in the restaurant supply houses. You can buy redfish. It's popular. But if you look in the restaurants when they sell it, it's more expensive. Redfish is a little bit more expensive. And we never fry. Redfish we never fry. We always grill the redfish. Because, when we used to camp out on the beaches and cook, we'd get a big old fire going on the beach, and we'd always scale, take a half of the fish.
Why are you grilling instead of frying? I mean, is there a reason?
It's a coarser, thicker meat, and it breaks down with the heat and just gets really tender and flaky. So it's better to grill it, and plus with that butter and the hot peppers and everything, it's just really good. Yeah. And then we cook it another way where we take it off the scales and put it in the pan, and we do a cilantro white wine butter sauce reduction, and that's really good too. So it depends, and that's good with white rice. But the other way is more the Hispanic style with the chilies and the citrus. That's the way to do it over the open fire.
How many bedrooms do you have in your house?
Got an extra one.
It's getting awkward quick.
I'll be there tomorrow. I'm moving in.
Anytime you
I want to take
if you went there in the
I want to
summer,
film his
yeah.
reaction on the snakes in the woods. That's what I want to see.
Be like,
So
"Hey,
when Harvey came through and took everything out, were you guys there? Had you gone away and then came back? Like, what was that? Was there like a moment where you came and was like, oh?
Well, I had a premonition that this was happening, and we actually had a family party because we had just rebuilt from the storm that called the Tax Day flood that came in the spring. My wife and I come back from the hill country. I killed an all dad. We got up that morning. That flood come in. We had to evacuate our house. Blah blah blah. We went and built after that. We were back at the house 8 days. We were having a housewarming party. My niece was coming in from Utah. Had people gathered up. Had the refrigerator was full. We had meats ready to go. I was going to grill outside. When they told us about the direction of the storm and that we were going to get this dirty side, even though we went further down the coast, they kept talking and anticipating about 56 plus inches of rain. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, let's think about this. So as it got closer and started shifting, we got in touch with my family and said, look, we're not going to take any chances. We're canceling everything. Let's let the storm pass tonight because it was supposed to come through 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So we canceled that evening, secured things, picked up what we could in the house. I mean, you're talking about we just rebuilt our house from the ceilings down, all new furniture, all new appliances. I'd rebuilt new cabinets in the kitchen and had the biggest side-by-side Sears Roebuck refrigerator tucked in there that got washed out from the pressure of the water coming in. Literally pushed out of the way, flipped around and fell backwards, severed the cord, and that's where it was landed upside down. But we left literally at midnight. We lived right outside city limits. We knew there was a perfect storm where the base system was, where the water would collect around us, where the canal systems were. When it rose up, it was going to be bad. So we just predicted it was going to be bad, packed what we could, got out at midnight. It hit right at 1:15. One of our neighbors, because everybody had property out here, that acreage, outside the city limits where we were. But our one neighbor that stayed had their attic opened up. They had a way to cut themselves off if they needed to. And when they said when that wall of water came in, everything merged together. The tides were already out. The storm had pushed the storm surge in. It had picked up with the bay water. It picked up with all the water on us, and it went from north to south toward us. And the front of my house is a south-facing wall. So when it hit, it pushed through the kitchen, went over the kitchen counters, and pushed everything through the house. They said when they hit their front door, it blew the front door open. They ran to their bedroom, jumped on the bed. It came up over the bed. They got over to the ladder, got up in the attic, and it washed through the house. They were one of the only ones that was out there actually when the storm, when the water came through, which was literally like an hour and 15 minutes after we left. And the next morning when the sun come up and they sent the pictures, I was like, oh my God, here we go. We had everything was still in boxes. I mean, we hadn't even got in the house, but everything was gone. And we broke our 401k to rebuild everything, make everything nicer, do all this stuff. And it was all gone overnight. It's just everything. And not only that, like I said, everything else I mentioned with the manufacturing, because our blend shop, our manufacturing was built on the back acreage, and we had to build it out there. And it had its own driveway for 18-wheelers to go down and offload pallets of garlic and salt. And you're talking pallets are 2,500, 3,000 pounds each of raw materials, because we don't buy anything pre-made. Everybody's like, put lemon pepper in here. No, my recipes are individual items going together that we mix ourselves. My original recipes, all with individual ingredients. So we have a warehouse in there, salts and garlics and dried chilies and this, that, and other, all the stuff, herbs, everything you can imagine in there. Tens of thousands of dollars just in raw materials, and then the equipment and everything else. All that was washed out. And we had just replaced all that, after the last one washed out. We had to buy all new raw materials because everything went under. Equipment, everything. And then this one went 6+ feet. And the further out the land was, the deeper the water got from the house. So it might have got 7 feet out there. Who knows what it was in the end. But yeah, it was a mess, man. I'm gonna tell you what, because it was historic rain, historic flood. It was crazy.
Was there ever a point after that where you considered not restarting and not rebuilding the business?
Yeah, man, there's just no give up in me. I mean, it's the way my dad was a Marine, the way my grandpa raised me. It's like it was rough.
I'm sure. What percentage are you back now from where you were before Harvey to right now today? Are you back 100%? Are you at 75%? Where are you at?
On everything, but
Okay.
Financially, I'm just about there. But no, we'll never make everything back that we lost. But you know, praise God, we have our health. You know, my wife and I made it through that. You know, having this happen later on in life is when your life's running fine. You know, being self-employed your whole life and things are running good, being able to go and do what you want, buy what you want whenever you want to living day to day, week to week is quite a drastic change when you're up in age. I'm 58 this year, and it's like it was crazy. And there were times that I did feel like giving up. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't easy, but we made
For
it.
sure. Yeah, that's great. There was a question from chat that I want to bring up. Do you do co-packing?
Actually, I do. And before the storm, I did it for several companies, and then I got away from that for a while. Just like some of my products that are just now coming back since then. But I've got 3 companies I'm fixing to start working with, and I also blend for restaurants.
What is co-packing?
Co-packing is where someone else has a recipe, but they don't have a big facility to make it in, and they want to hire someone to do it. Okay. And instead of going to some of the bigger processing facilities where you're just another number, a guy like me that hand fabricates and makes his own products over the years, takes someone else's product and treats it like his own. So basically all we do is we go through a little bit of paperwork and meet with them, you know, look at the product, see if that's something we can make, as long as it's within the profile of what I make, an all natural type product. And then we work with them, yeah. And then restaurants, I've got restaurants that I blend bulk for their barbecue restaurants. They have very simplistic recipes. We've helped them improve the recipes, and then we turn out, you know, 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, whatever they want. But the people that are trying to get into their own product, and maybe they've had a family recipe that's been handed down, they're like, you know, I want to take this up and see if I can put it on the market. Well, instead of going out to a big production facility having to make, you know, 5,000 bottles of it, let's start off small, get it out there, get you a cost analysis going, get it worked out. Maybe we need to tweak the recipe just a little bit, because you start off with a recipe, and then when you get into production, it's called a product formulation, and it's a little bit different process then, because then you get up into the bigger numbers and you're scaling up, scaling it down. So that's what we do. We work with people on that, look at it, see if we can improve it, manufacture it for them. If it's something they want to move forward with, get their license, you know, get their labels going, source all their bottles. You know, we've got certainly contacts for all that. And fortunately for us, there's a plastics manufacturing plant here in Texas. First time in the 30 plus years I've been doing this. They've always come off the East Coast, these plastics plants, and a lot of them shut down after COVID and retooled for making, you know, sanitizer containers and things like that. So actually one of the bottles I used for decades is no longer available. And so when this company was built outside of Dallas, man, I was like, praise God, look at this, it's perfect timing. So we designed a bigger bottle that uses the bigger cap, because I had a standard bottle and a big quart bottle. So it uses the cap from the big one, so it's easier to shake out, and it's right in between the two sizes. So we got one bottle going forward now. And that's why our website's being redone, because we're doing all new labels, new bottle sizes, and that's the only bottle we're going to have going forward. And then we do 4-pound refill bags for those bottles.
I will say something on Coward Creek just said that they're kind of interested in you. They want to give you a call tomorrow, but I will tell you, Coward Creek, he is closed tomorrow. So you need to call on Tuesday. All right. So they are closed on Mondays, Sundays and Mondays. Their office is closed. So you'll have to call on Tuesday to get in touch with him if you're interested in that packing.
And I'm a hunter, and we got a cool front coming, so I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Be out in the woods.
And I will be gone for about 5 days. So I would recommend sending me an email. Send me an email.
Okay. Yeah, I put is your email on your website?
Your email on the website? It should be.
Yeah, there's a contact email on there.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. There you go, Coward. You can send him an email and he'll get in touch with you.
I'm gonna send you an email.
All right. Making connections. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Well, people helped us get our start. We always want to turn around, and I support small business everywhere I go, and other people in the spice business that are what people would think, oh, that's your competitor. I've got a lot of friends in the barbecue and spice business that, we can reach out and talk to each other, see each other in public. It's like we're best of friends, and we wish each other the best in our business. And some of those people were the first to reach out when they found out I lost everything.
Bill,
they weren't calling up, hey, you're gonna sell out? I gotta get you. No, they're like, what can I do to help you?
Let's be honest.
The barbecue industry is real tight knit.
We'll whisper it,
Mhm.
okay? So you're best of friends with your competitors.
With a lot of them.
You get to the competition. Tell me there's at least one time you spit in their stuff.
Oh, no.
right?
But when it comes to competition now,
Once?
I'm a competitive guy. When it comes to barbecue contests, I'll walk right up with my cigar in hand. I'll shake someone's hand. I'll wish them the best of luck. When I turn around, we go get it.
Down.
We want to be up on that winner stage like everybody else. But it's amazing.
A little Dusty Baker, he kicks a little sand, a little dust in their stuff. Oh,
There's
I
a
get
lot of spice manufacturers that don't compete on the circuit. They have teams that they sponsor, like what they call pro staff. I have them also because when we were down out and couldn't compete, I have guys that go out and use it. That way I'll get some relevance on social media. They're winning and getting our name out there. But I'm a different breed. I believe in if I make a product, I want to take it to the consumer and show them how I use it. And when people come to my trailer, when I'm at a competition, they're like, hey, I don't want to, I'm not trying to get any secrets. I'm like, come in. I'll bring them in, show them exactly what I'm doing, show them how I'm using my product. Some of them will take some of my product right then and maybe go, and they'll hit a top 10 and like, oh my God, I can't believe you told me that. But that's just how I am. I'm very open because I want people to win with my product. If someone takes my product and I show them how to use it and they hit first place and I hit third, man, I'm just as
It's a
happy.
win-win, right?
I'm still winning. So but there's very few people that actually manufacture a product that actually compete. And there's some really good ones out there like Aaron Leslie in Texas Oil does. He does his own thing. But he competes, but he's competing every weekend. And I wish I could get to the point where I could do that myself.
There you go, Bill. This guy lives 10 minutes from you. This Coward Creek Barbecue. Yeah, it's going to be contacting. He's 10 minutes away from you. So there you go.
And we have our very first request to be on the Texas Select Seasoning Pro Staff by Sarah. Sarah wants to be on the Pro Staff by just eating.
But just eating.
Just eating, not any of the
cooking. There's a website right there, and we're going to have a discount code coming.
I thought it was a cook. I was going to ask her, when's her last grand championship?
So you
but
touched
at
on
cook-offs, we give it away. Seriously, at cook-offs, once we cut the meat that goes to the judges, when people find it, like this year I did 2 events. Alvin Music Festival, which wound up being huge this year, was a Champions Barbecue Alliance sanction. That wound up being 191 teams. All the big point chasers were there. And my guys were like, this is a big cook-off for our first one back. I said, hey, let's do it. And we wound up winning 6th place overall at 191, 1st place ribeye, 4th place chicken. All the meats are up there. So I was like, we're picking up where we left off. We're still competitive, right? So it's good to get, when you get back out there, to get back in the mix of it and people see you like, what did you use? The same products. Here you go. And then we tried a new one. And then the second one we did was Yaga's Wild Game in Galveston. It's a sanctioned event, but it's a fundraiser for Children's Hospital. So we do that every year. It's my birthday weekend. We go out there and, and I drink a little bourbon that weekend. When I'm at cook-offs, I'm all
just
focused.
a little.
And I don't get a drink until the last thing's turned in and I get a cigar and a bourbon and I go sit up there and get ready for awards. But I don't drink all weekend. But now at Yaga's, but we wound up having a great time and still came in reserve grand champion. So it worked out. But I tried a new product, and I was passing it out to people. And I said, try this on your pork or your chicken, either one. And I'm putting on my Wild Game. And I gave a bunch of it away. And later on, I was like, no, I was going to take that home. I said, well, I just beat you with it. So there you go. But no, we give all the food away. When people follow us on social media and they find out we're having an event, like I just got through building a competition trailer. I hadn't had one since the storm. It's going to debut December 8th at Briscoe Ranch. It's a big cook-off, Uvalde. But when we put on social media, we're there. So anybody that buys my season, follows us, just come out. If you're at a cook-off, you're close by, come out and just look at the timing. Now, we're not allowed to feed the public, but we have customers. We can give it to them because you're family. So what we do is once we get it in, like we got ribs going at 1 o'clock, by 1:15, we're giving the rest of it away. You know, if the next meat goes in 2 o'clock, the rest of it's going away. Brisket's always the last thing. And then people come around because people want the brisket and they want to try and see what brisket tastes like. So we give it all away. So anybody happens to come around, we love our fans. We love people to follow us, love our customers. And we just, here it is. Try it.
You have a proper smoker, don't you?
I do.
I bet he's got like 8.
Like, I'm
a stick burner.
Do you still have the ones that you used to have, or have you got all new ones since then?
No, Myron Mixon built me one in my big competition rig that I took around for many years. Myron Mixon custom built me one in the back, and it was mounted full time in there. I'd made French doors open up, so we took a fork truck to get it in, and then I had 2 smaller ones, but that was my main pit, and we did very well with that. And we was always back in the day, we were always featured on his website before he got sponsorship and got so big that, you know, I basically had to pay and put my name on his website. But anyway, I had that pit for years, but it sold with the trailer. You know, I had this beautiful trailer, and that was one of the last things we had of value. And it's like I told my wife, I said, you know, we got to live first. So that was one of the things we sold it because it survived the flood, you know, but a bunch of things didn't. So anyway, I just got through building another one. So I had a guy build me a reverse flow. It's a guy in Houston, pitched by JJ. Jose's built it for me. He's coming on board as a sponsor. He wants to see us get up and running again. I'm also going to work with him on a line of seasonings for his shop. And he was glad to see me, you know, get back into it. So I got talking to him. And I had to have a certain size, and I like a reverse flow smoker for my brisket in a certain way built. And we talked about it. And he says, I'll take care of it. No problem. We'll get it built just the way you want it. Now, before that, before we had the trailer and we were just using a cargo trailer and loading stuff in there and taking it out, there was a gentleman in Louisiana, Boathouse Smokers, Brian Noble, and he custom built the smoker, delivered it to me at the store. We took pictures together on social media, and that smoker, it was a big square smoker, and could have put every meat on there, but all I cooked was brisket. You know, because it was a reverse flow designed for brisket, and it hit top 5 at every major event we went to, including the big county fair cookers, the biggest in the state of Texas. Hit the number 4 brisket out there, I think. And number 2 at the Alvin Fest over there. But everyone had hit, every time I put a brisket on that smoker at a competition, it was top 5. So I'm going to miss having it, but it's too big to go on this trailer. We had it where it'd roll in this cargo trailer and pretty much filled up half of it. But it was my pit. I mean, it was just for the brisket. And everybody's like, why are you firing that big old thing up just for a biscuit? Because it wins. Yeah. And I'm just old school. I like a stick burner for a brisket. And everybody's cooking on drums these days, and that's great. And I love a drum hot and fast for a chicken because I like to cook a chicken in 45 minutes or 50 minutes, you know. But everything else, low and slow. Pork shoulder, ribs, brisket. You know, I'm burning wood, and I just can't. I haven't got to the point where I can put a brisket in a drum, except for at camp or something. If we're sitting on deer lease and we want to throw a brisket in there and let it rock and roll, that's different. But competition, I'm a certain way. I want that brisket, and it's got to be a stick burner.
One thing I do want to say before you go on there, I've been putting his link in the chat a couple times, and I will tell you, we will be having a code that he will have on his site.
Castor Camo, 15%.
Yeah, that will be coming up on his site. So when you go to it, you'll be able to click that and put that code in to get a 15% discount on all of his items. So if you guys will just give us a week, I think we'll be up and running with that.
The 15% off does not, you can't use the 15% off on Yeti or sales tax. I'm making fun of Chief. I'm making fun of Eric.
Hey, and for the hunters, my wild game pan sausage season is coming back. It hasn't been around since the storm. It will be out in 2 weeks, and it'll be on the website.
You know, what's funny is Vexus is making fun of me. I went to Academy Sports. I think most of you in the South know what Academy Sports is. So I went to them today, and they have law enforcement officers and military discount for 10%. So I signed up for the law enforcement. stood in line for 20 minutes while they checked my ID through the National Registry of Law Enforcement before they gave it. And then I get it back, and it says right on the thing I was reading the Vexus, cannot be used for the discount for Yeti or sales tax or what else was it, Vexus?
And the funny thing is, he's listing all these things off. I'm like, why would you think you could use the discount for any of those things?
The last rifle I bought, I used the military discount there. I was like, hey, here. It was during one of those things. I was like, yeah, look, it says veteran. They're like, okay, here.
The problem of it is,
but I can't buy a Yeti off of it.
You can't buy Yetis off of it. You can't buy deer corn. No deer corn can you buy off of.
That's right, deer corn.
Deer corn was one of them. I was like, oh my Lord.
So you brought something up, Bill, that I want to kind of dive into a little bit. When you're coming up with new products, what high level, what does that process look like? It's like, I feel like you're like a mad scientist with, you're trying this and that, you're bringing this spice and this pepper. And obviously you want to come up with something new and different, hip now with it. Wow. What is that thought process like of trying to put things together? And when do you know, like, is it, you just kind of dip your finger in and taste and be like, boom, it's right there?
Well, the thought process in the beginning is different than the thought process now in new products. Because back then I was developing from the ground up, things that I knew that I want to get out and creating flavor profiles. That was a little bit different back then, and things that I felt like would be around long term. Nowadays, what I'm looking at is, like in competition barbecue, everything's done in layers. You have a large piece of meat, you do a base coat of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And when I teach people to barbecue, I always tell them, shake it, don't cake it. Don't put a lot of anything on, put a little bit on, let the meat tell you when it's ready for something else. So what I'm developing now is, after years of competition, I develop products to win in competition, but I'm developing now as I do layers, like say fajita contests. They're always a jackpot, and usually there's one winner and gets all the money. And we won a lot of fajita jackpots, but I've always put a little bit of this, a little bit of that on 3 different products. So now what I want to do is take the best of some products and combine those and make a new competition series. I do have a competition brisket rub now based on my award-winning rub that's been out for almost 3 decades. But I want to do one for fajitas, and fajita, of course, is beef. I know everybody wanted the shrimp fajita. Fajita's beef in competition. So I want to make something that's a single pass, easy to use, especially in competition, that's going to get the judges' attention, because you got one bite. The judge gets one bite and you've got to wow them. And so that's my thought process developed now, is to take things that I've learned on the barbecue circuit over the years. And during my downtime, I did a lot of, mind gathering, note taking, thought process, while I was working on trying to rebuild my life in the business. I also sat down and put some time into all the things in the past that's working. I kept a lot of journals, and these journals survived. So I took a lot of those notes. I thought the new products are going to be dedicated to competition barbecue. The next 3 that come out, strictly competition barbecue, to take all those layers and turn it into one and put that on the market. So that's what I'm doing there. As far as anything else new, like I had a lot of requests for, since I obviously hunt a lot of wild hogs, people love my rustic rub, which is my original venison season. It's a coarse season, and it's also won a lot of competitions in brisket on the national level. KCBS getting perfect scores on the bark, but it was designed for venison, and everybody wanted something with it. This is no sugar in it. So wanted something with a sugar base for wild pig, because all my barbecue rubs of sugar are designed for pork and chicken. Everything designed for beef, I don't have sugar in. I've never made a sweet brisket. I'd rather lose the competition than make a sweet brisket. So, but for pork, I came up with one called Rooter Rub, because all the years I've been killing these hogs, I've always referred to them as rooters. Because when you find them in the woods, that's usually what they're doing. They're fighting or rooting or mating. So, so I called it Rooter Rub. It's out now, and it's going to complement this rub. And then with the wild game pan sausage, we're going to do a 3 wild game product mix. It's going to be on the website with the discount code for you guys. That should be out in about 2 weeks. So
when's the Caston Camo rub coming out?
God.
Well, that's something we can work on for next year.
Oh, there we go.
Once I get the competition stuff done, Rooter Rub, actually, I drew the design, the logo for that, trademarked it, back before the storm. but it has been sitting on hold since then. So it wasn't something that the development was already there. The mixing, the tasting, the sample, and cooking on meats, especially wild game, and also trying another thing so you can put on the label what else that you've tried that's good. Hell, I love it on salmon. That Rooter Rub, that coarse Rooter Rub with that sweet. It's got I couldn't find after the pandemic, I couldn't find a raw sugar called Demerara. It's a first press of the sugar cane, crystallized brown sugar that takes a while to break down. So it's really good to finish up on barbecue. It's great on salmon, and it's great on that rub because I could get a dehydrated brown sugar. I could get a white cane sugar. I get everything else. I get a turbinado, which is overly processed, but the raw Demerara, which has a natural molasses profile and just one of the best sugar you could ever eat on anything. And it's used a lot in baked goods. A lot of the high-end bakeries use the Demerara sugar. We finally got that flowing again for us, and that's why after we got built back up again and got new recipes going and was able to get the Demerara, that's when Rooter Rub just recently came out. So that process has taken 5 years. It's not something I just put together and I'm going to have it out in 30 days. You're talking over 5 years of development there for that. Now, the competition stuff won't take near as long because I know what's worked. It's just a matter of getting the right balance and then tweaking something and cooking with it on a small scale. And then when you scale it up to what's called a product formulation, things may drop off a little bit here and there. You got to taste it on the top end and make sure it's the same as it was on a small batch. So that takes time. But as far as the length of time for the competition, they'll be out by the last one by probably February, March of next year. Whereas Rooter Rub and all that 5-year plus process.
What was your sweet ass rub made for? What was your thoughts for that?
A lot of, like, again, in competition barbecue, and I get a lot of people that will write me from all over the country. They'll say, look, I appreciate your products. And even if you gave it to me, I can't mention your name because I don't know. I don't want my competitors to know. These are people winning world championships all over and winning a lot of grand championships. They said, and they're doing everything in layers, like I talked about, a salty layer rub, a sweet layer rub, this, that. So a lot of people that use my Juicy Pig, we're an all natural company. None of my products were designed with a lot of sea salt in them. And we use sea salt being a natural company. That's only 140 milligrams in those. Most rub 300, 400, 500 milligrams sodium. Salt's the number one ingredient. It's not on my products. So a lot of competition guys are like, I want something like Juicy Pig, but I want something really sweet with multiple sugars in it, with no really heat to it, no spice to it. So I started working on that, and I'd already had something I wanted to work out, but I hadn't come up with a name yet. And my thought process is, it's not just about the recipe and final product formulation, but the branding. If you look at my labels, they all got real unique things. I worked with a friend of mine's a graphics artist. I come up with the original concept, but he finished it up. So the sweet ass has got this little pig. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. And the label, if y'all can put this graphic online later on, this is an incredible graphic right here. But this pig turn around, she's got this big old plump sweet ass right there. So not only is it sweet to the taste buds, it's got a sweet ass right there. See that sweet ass? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna make T-shirts with this. Everybody likes a little sweet ass.
I would translate well to a T-shirt.
Yeah, this is gonna be marketed next year on a T-shirt. Everybody likes a little sweet ass because for all these years, Juicy Pig, people would write me and call me. I love the Juicy Pig. Yeah, should have been a slogan for years, but Juicy Pig's been trademarked for my company for going on 30 years now. And we've had a couple people try to use it, and it's like they've been shut down that quick because I own that name forever, But Sweet Ass is the newest one.
Well,
I trademarked the design.
I can tell you right now, I want 2 T-shirts. Vexus wants 10. I mean, you're
what?
He wants sweet ass in his mouth.
Yeah, he wants sweet ass in his mouth. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
I'll take sweet ass in my mouth.
So every product's a little bit different the way it's developed, but it's got to be the whole package. It's got to be the graphics. It's got to be the name. The trademark takes time, and I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful trademark attorney that who retired from the government in the United States Patent and Trademark Office that keeps up with all my stuff. He's represented me in 3 different cases that we've knocked it out of the park when people tried to infringe on our names, and that was like I talked about earlier, in the early development stages of my company, I felt like it was important. And when I didn't really hardly have the money to put together in the pockets, is to get those trademarks paid for. Because back then, to trademark something was very expensive, over $10,000 to get started. And I've got lots of trademarks out there, and I wouldn't venture to say how much I got in trademarks, but it has protected my branding it's protected my name and my product names over the years, because the 3 times major companies or major organizations try to infringe on it without doing their research, just think they can come out with a name and take it over because they've got money. They find out later on that that's one thing that the government has your ass covered on. When you have that number filed with the government, that trademark number, and it's at incontestable status, it doesn't matter. It's yours forever, and it's international. So, right. And it's they 3 times they've gone to bat, and it's been shut down that quick. So that's if I could give anybody advice that ever gets in the food business, is to if you come up with something unique, a name, a design, a logo, trademark it. It's worth every penny to trademark it.
I trademark my sweet ass.
Yeah, no, I own sweet ass.
No, you do not own my sweet ass.
No, but I own this sweet ass.
Okay. I want to trademark my sweet ass.
Well, that's something y'all have to talk about. I don't have nothing to do with that.
Okay, so
I can make it sweeter.
Oh, jeez. Whoa. Hey.
Oh my God.
I do have a couple probably dumb questions. When you come up with a new product, do you have to run that by any government agencies to be able to sell that retail wise? Like, is there a process that you go through for that? And is that a long process? Is it a short process, or is there nothing?
There is a process when it comes to wet products, because you have to have a tested shelf stability testing. Anything that's acidic, salsa, jellies and jams. Like I had a jelly for years, like I told you about, the apple strawberry habanero jelly. I used to melt it and use it as glaze, but I wound up putting smoke to it, make a smoke version of it that you pour out. But anything that's wet, acidic, you have to have tested to make sure it's shelf stable. But other than that, as far as dehydrated goes, no, because each product in there has already got a shelf stability rating based on whether garlic, how it's dehydrated, what the moisture level is, whether it be dried cheeses or what have you. They all have levels. So the only thing you have to go pass through, like when I do trademarks, I have to go through a lot of paperwork on that. But everything else falls under your manufacturer's license, And then if you do nutritional data, which is required, you have to hire someone to do that for you and turn over the recipe, and then they do that. So there's cost involved in everything, in the food manufacturing.
I even thought about the nutritional part of it. Yeah.
Now you can get certified and do your own and do things, but it's much easier to find a nutritionist that does this and pay their fee, and get it done professionally, because then they're responsible for it. There's something wrong, and the federal government comes and does an inspection on your products.
Pay this person.
Because they do inspect your facility. Then you say, something here is wrong, you just take it back to them. So everybody has protections, on what they do.
Right.
But usually there's nothing major. They may want to change something about the address. They may want to change the way the government's always wanting to change something. Don't make it shit. You can't never make them happy.
Right.
You have the same thing forever, and I just want to change, the next year. Let's just change everything. It's the way to make more money.
Okay, we have a question from somebody in chat, and then I have another question, but I'll get to Red Irish's question first. How long does his dry rub products last before they clump up after opening? Have about a ton of rubs that clump up quick and have to break it up to be able to shake it out.
The clumping is due to a couple of things: heat and moisture. You see these cooking videos on TikTok where they've got a boiling pot going right here, and somebody's over the top shaking like this. The steam's coming up and the season's going down. Guess what's going in that hole? Moisture.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing you have for a dry product? Wet. Moisture creates what? Mildew, mold, and will clump it up. It'll lock it up tight. So you can't do that. The other thing is heat. A lot of these competition guys, they have these barbecue trailers. During the week when they're at work, they close it up. Well, it's 103 degrees outside. What's the temperature inside that trailer? Heat will clump up this product. The best way to store it in my 4-pound bags that I sell now that are refills to these are full line, and they're designed for coffee beans. So when I put my product in there and zip it up, and people just open it up to refill their bottle and zip it back up, that stuff will stay loose. The color will stay beautiful for a long time, years if you want.
Where's your bag at, Texas?
It's behind me. It is behind. It is right behind me.
And another thing is too, like at my store, if these products are sitting on the shelf and you got the UV lights, the UV lights are really hard. Now they got the LED lights, which are better. But if UV lights hits us for a lot, people will come and say, "Oh man, why is this one darker color than this one?" Well, you just shake the bottle and it turns back to color. It does a little soft fade because of the plastic bottle, so people will see that. But the only thing that causes the clumping, the main two things that cause the clumping is heat and moisture. But now another thing that does it, and I notice on some people's products, some people will put pre-manufactured raw materials in. And what I say by pre-manufactured, like say molasses powder. Well, molasses powder is a complex thing. Or Worcestershire sauce powder is a complex ingredient because there's multiple ingredients going together. And they back that with a sugar-based backer to make it free flow, right? So it's got dextrose in there. Dextrose gets sticky if it gets hot. So dextrose backed ingredient can make it clump up also. So you need to look at your ingredient panel. Number one, make sure it's clean. If you look at mine, garlic, sea salt, black pepper, red pepper, blah, blah, blah. They're clean ingredients. There's no complex ingredient here that's going to have any backer or anything else that could cause the clump. Now, being a natural company, I don't use anti-caking. So, I mean, most of the time you just got to just tap it on the edge of your hand like that, and it loosens back up, unless it's been exposed to extreme heat or moisture. So that's the main thing. Look at the ingredient panel, see what's in it. But if worse comes to worse, you can take a bottle, dump it into a bowl and break it up, mix it back up and put it back in the bottle. You can do that also. So there's ways.
That's a pain in the ass though.
Yeah, but the main thing is keep it away from moisture. If you got steam coming up, don't be sprinkling.
Until you said that, I'm like, wow.
Well, I always take a small disposable plate and I'll put I'll measure or sprinkle my ingredients on there. If something's cooking, big pot of venison stew or something, and I want to add more of my ingredients, I do it on a little plate and then pour it in there. I don't put the shaker bottle over the top because it's going to put the moisture in the bottle and cake it up instantly.
Sitting over your barbecue, so you don't want to be sitting there.
Well, right. Yeah.
Think about that.
So when you go to your competitions, do you have a secret farmer that you go to get your meat from that you don't tell anybody about? Like, that's your secret guy. He has the best meat that you're going to get. Or do you just go get any meat?
Well, it depends on what it is. HEBs are our best stores in Texas. Everybody loves the HEBs. HEB has their own prime cut of beef. And we won that huge contest earlier this year, first place out of 191 entries with a fresh cut prime beef ribeye. And we went into talked to the butcher. He went and pulled 2 out. He said, "Look, we looked at the marble on the end. We want 2 center cut steaks right here out of this one." And he cut 2. We cooked one for a tester, get our timing down on it. Cooked the other one, turn in the judges. First place. Nothing but that steak. A little bit of light oil in my seasonings. That's all that was on that steak. Kept it natural, high quality, beautiful marbling in that steak without overdoing it. Didn't need to be Wagyu. It was just prime. It was beautiful. Now brisket, same thing. HEB prime, or if I want to go Wagyu, there's a ranch in Texas, RC Ranch. That has been my winningest brisket on top 10 briskets if I'm going to cook Wagyu. And I've tried several other brands out there, but they seem to be a certain size. Minimal trim on them. I can see because you're the center cuts where you're taking your slices for the judges, and that's just the perfect brisket.
Wagyu briskets?
Yes.
I only think steak.
No. There's burgers. There's brisket.
Burger,
yeah. I mean, there's all kind of Wagyu.
Yeah, brisket is. You got them at one of my cook-offs and try Wagyu brisket, But we might have a prime and a Wagyu cooked up. But sometimes I go with a prime if I find I was at HEB and saw it's rare to see a really big one. So they got a 21-pound prime brisket. And everybody was going to the brisket and sitting on the side like, guys were like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Nobody wants to cook that." And I'm over there just drooling like, "Does anybody want that brisket?" And it's like, "No, man." I picked it up, man. The big old flat was like that thick. And the guy said, "You're actually going to cook that?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "This is a top 10 brisket at a competition right here." And so you trim it all down because competition briskets, or any meat, sanctioned events, you're allowed to pre-trim your meat and bring it in. You know, of course, you can't season or anything like that. But that way, you don't do that on site. And brisket's one of the things. When I get a big brisket, I trim it down to the size I need, knowing that when the shrinkage, I calculate the shrinkage. So when it's done, all I do is slice it and put it in the box. It fits perfect. And all the trimmings around that brisket, I grind for burger. And at home, I'm telling you what, when you grill a fresh ground prime brisket burger, there's just nothing else like it. It's the best. HEB, baby. You got to shop at HEB.
Is there a big difference on the price on that brisket with Wagyu than it is?
Depends on what brand it is. I mean, it could be like prime briskets, $4 a pound right now, but I've seen as low as $3 something. During the pandemic, Sam's was getting rid of their prime briskets for $2.59 a pound. That's what was crazy. Not to change the subject, but people were standing in line to get fresh ground meat, paying $7-8 a pound, and they were getting rid of whole prime briskets for $2.59 a pound. I told my wife, I said, "What's wrong with these people?" I said, "We went and got." They would only let you have one per person, so I'd get one, go out to the ice chest, put it up, come back, and I got about 6 of them. And I went and trimmed them all up, ground them all up, put them in. I have a commercial vacuum sealer, thousands of bags. So I put all these 1 pound pack, and I called my mom, anybody else who needs meat, because you're not going to get any better meat. And I was like, what's wrong with these people? No. So yeah, but Wagyu can be from $7 a pound to $14-15 a pound.
That's what I was going to say. I figured it was.
I'm not going to pay $300. I mean, even if the competition is paying out big money, I'm not paying $300 a brisket when I can win with a prime or I can win with the RC Ranch, you know, for less money.
Right.
How good your rubs are.
It's about to see. You got to have good meat. You got to have good rubs, and you got to have good smoke. You know, that's the
trifecta.
Well, let me ask something, if I may, about your smoke. What is your go-to wood that you like to smoke with? Well, I mean, for a brisket, for a pork,
go
brisket, or a pulled pork. You use a pork butt. I mean, what do you use for your wood?
I'm red oak and hickory. Hickory, you got to have that flavor in pork. So in Texas, I get a lot of good red oak. It's got that beautiful color to it, and it puts that color on the meat. So if I'm cooking the pork shoulders, ribs, or anything, I want a combination of red oak and hickory. I can start that for my brisket if I want to get the fire going, but I finish and cook all my briskets with pecan. That's just a nice mellow flavor on that.
Yeah.
And growing up now on the Hispanic side of my family, we harvested mesquite wood. So we did a lot of outdoor cooking over the fire. So we would grill, pieces of cabrito that's been marinated or whatever we cooked over mesquite coals. Whether it be a steak, whether it be cabrito, quail, doesn't matter. Quail was the best thing over the hot fire. You just hot and fast, cook it, and melt in your mouth. Delicious. But and I still cook with mesquite. I actually cook lump charcoal mesquite on my chicken. People are like, oh, mesquite's too strong on chicken. All my top 5 chickens been cooking with lump mesquite. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering and that was my next question, how often you use mesquite, because I know it's very prevalent in Texas to get mesquite.
I don't use it that much. I like for chicken, but if I'm at a deer camp somewhere and they've got a lot of mesquite, I want to build an outdoor fire and put a rack above that and put me some grill grates on it. And I want to cook something over it because that taste is very unique. And, but if I'm slow smoking through my reverse flow, I got a red oak base. I'm either finishing with hickory or pecan, and that's what I'm running through there. So I don't really run that mesquite and get that flavor profile in my stick burner, but I do it over the open fire or in my drum where I'm doing my chicken, because I'm doing a chicken hot and fast. Well, I want to get it as hot as I can to cook that chicken all the way through. You don't want to slow smoke a chicken in competition. Get it hot and fast. Keep the juice in it.
Okay.
I can't wait until we have a deep discussion about smokers. That's going to be.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I love smoking, and there ain't nothing more fun than trying different things.
Yeah, in the old days, we built cinder block pits. We built cinder block pits with a wire rack on the top, and then we started a fire on the side, and we shoveled coals in. That's how I cut my teeth growing up. So that's why I still like the art of outdoor cooking. I like the stick burners, and even though people are winning world championships with drums, and I love the drum, there's nothing against it. It's just not for me. For chicken, yes, nothing else. I still want to burn. And Fred Robles, and he just won the world championship this year in Kansas City, first place beef. He's from Texas. He's won World Food Championship. He won the brisket this year, and he's a stick burner. You know, he cooks on drums for ribs and everything else. But when it comes to brisket, he's a dedicated stick burner. And so is another guy that hit the first place last year. So
Bez is asking right now in chat, for someone like me who can't take spicy foods, what rub do you recommend to him? I would say Juicy Pig, but that's me.
Juicy Pig's is sugar-based barbecue rub. It has a little bit of spice to it. I have a product called Herbal Red, which is an all-purpose seasoning that has flaked herbs. And I have one called Italian Herb and Cheese. It's a bunch of Italian herbs with a dried Romano cheese in it. That's a fantastic rub for rotisserie chickens, for lamb, for just anything you want to cook on the grill where you don't want a lot of spice. Now it has a crushed red pepper in it, but very little, mainly for texture. And I put that in there for color also, because you could put this stuff with olive oil and mix it for a bread dipping spice. And I did that mainly for the color. But you can mix with oil and lemon juice and use it as a rub on chicken and stuff too. It's delicious. Doesn't have a lot of heat. So I would recommend those, Herbal Red or Italian Herb and Cheese, for something that doesn't have a lot of spice to it.
Right.
Fantastic. So the big question of the night is, we're going to do this so everybody knows every time we have Bill on, Bill's going to bring one of his billion recipes that he has, and he's going to share. And what are we talking about tonight? Or Fish Soccer, you got something?
No, I'm excited.
No.
And if
okay.
You got a suggestion, let us know ahead of time, and we'll be ready for it. Yeah.
We gotta figure out a way to write it down or whatever and put it.
Yeah.
In
You know, as many years as I got in barbecue, and the years y'all got in fishing hunting, just like me, it's easy to go all kind of directions to pick up on it. I'm one of the kind of guys, when I start talking, I get excited about it. I want to go that direction. But wait, if you need to pull me back a little bit, just tell me where you want me. But it's just exciting to be able to talk about this and the hunting, the fishing, but most importantly, cooking what you harvest, you know. And even though I do barbecue competitions, make no doubt about it, you know, I'm passionate about wild game and seafood. That's what I cook the most of at home or on friends. Competition is great. I'm out there to advertise and promote a product, and we've done very well at that. But my heart and soul is wild game and seafood.
Okay, so real quick, on you mentioned here earlier about dove and quail. Do you cook that fast, or do you cook that slow? Like, do you cook it fast like chicken, or do you cook
quail? I spatchcock them out and cook them hot and fast over the coals. Quail, you know, most people do the poppers and everything, but I just wrote a recipe for a magazine where I did a Cajun popper with boudin inside there and cheese, and I took a half jalapeno. There's a company that makes half jalapenos that are mild, for a lot of people don't want the real hot ones. But I fill it in, and then I wrap it in the bacon and do it. Then I finish it with my apple strawberry habanero glaze. And this thing it drove people, when they ate it, like, that's a popper like they've never had. So that's the kind of recipes I write, something unique. You know, everybody can do a cheese and jalapeno popper, but this was different.
There's another question.
Did we blow up the internet
chat
on that one?
Yeah, maybe.
You broke me.
Sure.
It's in a magazine. I don't have it with me right now. I just wrote it for a magazine called Waves Galveston Magazine. But it is a hot recipe right now, and they get a lot of clicks on their website from those recipes, and that's one that really blew up.
The question is about catfish or tilapia. Is there a specific one of your seasoning or rubs that would go well with either of those two types of fish?
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I don't know if we lost. You there, Bill? Okay. All right. I don't think he heard you, Vexus. Go ahead.
The question is around specifically catfish and tilapia. What would you recommend from your products for those fish?
Oh, Bill.
It's me.
All right.
Catfish or tilapia, which seasoning would you recommend that you sell? You were going to use those.
I have 3 that are really good. One's called Coastal Seafood. One's called Lemon Blackened. And then the one I mentioned earlier, Herbal Red. when I won the Gulf Coast Seafood Grand Championship, I used predominantly the Coastal Seafood and Herbal Red. And then I used my little Chile Pekin salt, what I call Garcia Love in remembrance of my Grandma Garcia. And it's basically the sea salt, garlic, and Chile Pekin. And I use that in addition to the herb-based season to give it a little pop at the end. And when I did my fish that won, that's what I put on it. And it was also a little bit in my gumbo to hit first place.
Yeah. So
Bill may have muted me by accident.
Bill, check and see if you muted him. I don't know if
Touch anything.
Do that.
It would be possible, but you guys go ahead and finish it off with Bill, since he can't hear me.
Anyway, Bill, we are getting ready to close out here, and I
enjoyed it.
Recipe.
I want to thank you. Oh yes,
We need the recipe before we go anywhere.
Do you have a recipe you want to share with us?
Well, I had that one with the dove. That's one I was talking about, and the dove breast split in half.
Okay.
And I seasoned that with my Italian urban cheese, and we put that inside that half jalapeno, and then we put a chunk of pepper jack cheese in there, and we topped it with a boudin. I've got a local company that makes spicy boudin. We used that, and then we hammered out bacon real thin, wrapped it up so it would shrink down on top of it, like prosciutto almost. And then we seasoned the outside of the bacon with my sweet ass barbecue rub. And then once we grilled it down, and then when we pulled it off, we let it cool down just a little bit, and then we glazed them with our apple strawberry habanero finishing glaze, which is smoked apple strawberry habanero. So it was really, really flavorful.
And that was an online magazine or something?
Waves Galveston magazine.
Maybe you can give that link to Chief or text it to him, and we can get it in our Discord for people to go.
To get a magazine page, the graphic, you can upload it.
Yeah. That would be even better. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Sarah's all over it. Look at
Sarah is like way
freaking chat already.
What a daughter. Oh boy. So anyway, yes, thank you. And we are going to have Bill back on in about 3 or 4 weeks. He will be back with us with something new. New recipes. We'll be talking about smoking, deer hunting, because deer season will be like in the middle of the swing of things, I think, or right at the end of the swing of things.
Hopefully I'll have one down this week.
There you go. Yeah.
The cool front.
That's right. Good.
It's cold in Texas. It's starting here already.
Well, it's supposed to get really cold here, 27 degrees tomorrow night. I can't wait. I love it. Yep. So.
Yep. Definitely cold.
Yep.
All right. Well, Bill, I appreciate it. He can't hear me, but Bill, if you could hear me, I'm giving admiration for you being on the show. We appreciate it, and I look very much forward to the future episodes with you. Can't wait.
I enjoyed it, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yes.
No, it was great. Thank you for coming. Seriously, I learned a lot.
Anybody have any last comments or questions?
No one.
Okay. All right. Well,
yep.
We'll see you guys all next Sunday again at 7:00. Don't forget 15% off Carolina Bass Company code Cast and Camo. Soon 15% off code Cast and Camo at Texas Select Seasoning. And can't forget the new sponsor, Buzzco, www.onlyfans.com/Buzzco. 100% off. We've jacked up the prices 110%. Special for everybody this just for a month.
I'm not sure. I don't hear anything going on.
Yeah, he can't hear me.
No, you're good. He's just doing his spiel right now.
Spiel right now. 1 second. Go ahead.
Who are we having on next week?
Next week is Jamie Olson. The Jamie is the coyote hunter and trapper, one of the top coyote hunters in the whole United States. Has the mule deer and antelope outfitter out in Wyoming. He's super pumped. I think he's also going to be a somewhat regular guest. Super interesting guy. So I'm excited to have that conversation with him. Talk about coyotes. And yeah, that's next week.
And don't forget code Joker because we can't steal his name. All right, we don't want to be getting yelled at
for Buzzcut.
That's right. All right, we'll talk to y'all next Sunday night at 7:00. Check us out on YouTube, Cast and Camo TV. Thanks, y'all.
Love you all your faces. We will all see you in our streams this week. Have a good week.